Hi, my name's Naina. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, and today I'm going to be talking about oral care as per Ayurveda, as well as the Dent-Ki malt from Amritam. So oral care is incredibly important in Ayurveda. The classical texts stress a lot that it's important to keep this first entry of food into our body very clean and hygienic. So because it is that first entry of food into the body, it's important that it's a good, clean place. So the digestive tract is the most important channel in our whole body, and the mouth is the entry port for that. When we think about oral care problems or problems to do with our mouth and teeth, often we come across things like cavities, bleeding gums, sensitivity. These are the most common problems, and they are mainly associated with what we're ingesting in terms of sometimes things being too sugary or too acidic. But they can also be related to pitta imbalance with something like bleeding gums, for example, which is where the rakta is moving in a different direction. So bleeding gums is also associated with bacteria in the mouth. So in allopathy, we call bleeding gums gingivitis. And anything with itis is associated with inflammation. So that inflammation of the gums and that excess blood coming out from the gums is a sign of too much rakta and therefore most likely to be a pitta imbalance. When it comes to oral care, Ayurveda would recommend that we use bitter, astringent and pungent herbs. Bitter and astringent quality have a scraping action, and they help to close the tissues in the mouth to keep the teeth strongly in the gums. The pungent taste is very useful for digesting ama as well. So that's why these three herbs are very useful whenever we're thinking about what we want to use in the oral cavity. So Ayurveda would recommend us to use toothpaste or something to clean the mouth with these three types of tastes, which differs from our commonly used toothpaste, which tends to be quite sweet. It's recommended that you wash or brush the mouth, clean out the mouth after every meal. Which we don't always do, let's be fair, but we do the morning and evening one, which are both very important. So after we've eaten something, it's really good to just wash away the excess bacteria, wash off any acidity or sugar that's left in the mouth, and that will keep the gums nice and strong and healthy. It's also recommended traditionally to use a twig from something like the neem tree and chew on the end until it creates bristles, and then use that to brush the teeth, notedly in a gentle manner. So we mustn't be too hard when we're brushing our teeth and cause ourselves damage to the gums. So the Dent-Ki malt from Amritam is an all-round, multi-herb packed supplement that is very useful for dental care. So it's got key herbs in it that have that astringency, bitterness and pungent quality to keep the oral cavity fresh, clean and strong. There's also got some flavouring in there like peppermint and rose that help to give a good taste and flavour and smell to the mouth. So the key ingredients in the Dent-Ki malt would be mulshri and chichida and koronda. So those three herbs are very useful for balancing vata, pitta and kapha in the mouth. It's important that we balance the vata dosha as well when we're talking about oral care, because any kind of movement, for example, when that blood is moving in a direction in gingivitis, in bleeding gums, it's the vata that creates that movement. So once that vata can slow down, then the effect of that pitta imbalance won't be as much. So it's important that vata is under control. The bitterness and the astringency close the tissues and hold the teeth in place, and it's got good flavouring in there. Interestingly, if you are suffering with a lot of dental problems, it might be worth thinking and looking into the deeper reasons for this. And mainly when we're talking about teeth, we have to think about the bone tissue, the asti dhatu. Why? Because in the manufacture of asti dhatu, the upadhatu, which is the superior tissue, is in fact the teeth. The asti dhatu has a very close connection to the colon, the large intestine, which so happens to be the site and home of the vata dosha. So we can make a connection here between vata dosha, colon, asti dhatu and our teeth. So it's got a nice connection there of all those elements. So by looking after the Vata dosha with good lifestyle routine and keeping our colon healthy, making sure that we're going to the toilet regularly, eating foods that aren't going to clog the large intestine, these sorts of things will help to keep the bone tissue really strong. Therefore, we can see in our teeth the reflection of this. So if you're suffering with a lot of cavities and tooth loss and dental problems, it's definitely worth investing in Ayurvedic herbs and supplements to look after your teeth. Why? Because it's not going to be just a temporary fix, like a filling. It's not just going to fill in that filling at that hole in your teeth and then later on the filling might come out. The herbs in Ayurvedic oral care will be treating problems from the root cause. So therefore there'll be less trips to the dentist and less dental costs for yourself. And you'll be able to keep that beautiful dazzling smile for the rest of your life and won't worry about tooth loss coming later. So if you've got any questions about the Dent Key Malt, feel free to write into the Amritam team and they'll be happy to help. For now, make sure you look after your teeth by brushing regularly, using the right herbs, and keep smiling.